Hi, this is Adam Olin, CEO of Russell and Spark, a boutique branding and marketing firm. After 25 years in creative agencies, I realized that the very best reviews came from my story training sessions. So I turned them into a keynote, but I didn't know how to break into speaking. I'm so glad I found Laurie-Ann Murabito's Be in Demand podcast and joined her community of speaking professionals. From book publishing to sales strategies to the details that distinguish true professionals, it's been invaluable. Even if you can't get into her exclusive community calls, you can still listen to the podcast.
Someone is making a lot of money out there telling you that successful people are up at 5 a.m., maybe even 4 a.m., with their journal open, green juice poured, and they're writing about gratitude. And maybe for some people that works. But I want to tell you about all the other mornings, the ones where the alarm goes off, and you just lay there and look up at the ceiling. And the first coherent thought that you have is somewhere after that second cup of coffee, where you're moving through your morning and it feels like you're on autopilot. Still half asleep, still feeling a little foggy from yesterday. Let me tell you something. Those mornings count also. In fact, what you do on those mornings that you don't feel at your optimal best, those say more about your leadership and your success path than any perfectly optimized routine that you ever could implement. So today, we're going to blow up the myth of the perfect morning. And we're talking about where momentum actually comes from. And it's a whole lot messier than what they show on Instagram, but it's a whole lot more human. So welcome back. I'm Laurie-Ann, the host of this podcast, Be in Demand. And this podcast is all about how to communicate with confidence, use your voice to lead and impact others so that you become the person who is that obvious choice for that next big opportunity. So I'm so glad that you're here. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because so many people think if I don't have the perfect morning routine, then the rest of the day is downhill. That's kind of like saying if you're in a road race, running a 5K, a half marathon, a marathon, if you don't start running and sprinting right from the beginning, that you're never going to make it to the end. And that's not true. Because if you've ever run a half marathon, if you've ever run a 5K, any of those, it is always slow in the beginning. As a matter of fact, because there's so many people and they're all building up to get to their own pace, it's like a herd of people. And most of the time, you're walking at first. You cross the start line and you're walking, sometimes even slower than you normally would be. But then you build up your pace and you do make it to the end. It's this very same thing with the perfect morning. It's unique to you. And those days that you don't feel that you are starting off on the right foot does not mean that the entire day is done. As a matter of fact, I would beg to differ because at any moment you can decide, I want to change this. So have you ever gotten out of bed and just oh my God, you feel like you got up on the wrong side of the bed? Nothing feels like it's going your way. In an instant, you can decide, you know what? That was the past. I'm going to move forward, even if it's 10:30 in the morning. There are so many days that I have, and this was recently, I was exhausted. So exhausted, and I thought it was from the day before, and that might be true. I was exhausted all morning, and finally, around 1 o'clock, I literally laid down on the couch for about 30 to 40 minutes. And then I got up and I felt like a brand new person. I could not believe how productive I was. So taking care of yourself doesn't always start when the alarm goes off. And here's the other thing is that so many people think that if I don't have this early morning routine, then that means that I'm not disciplined. If I'm not disciplined, that means I don't have commitments and I'm not being intentional about things. And let's just erase all of that because starting messy, whatever your morning routine wants to look like, you start with something. So instead of trying to find the perfect routine, I want you to find something that you can build on. So, years ago when I was in my 20s, here's what my morning routine looked like. The alarm did go off at 5, and I was out the door by 5:30. That meant I had a mug of coffee in hand. My gym bag was always packed the night before with the outfit that I was gonna be wearing that day. And by the way, the outfit that I was wearing that day was scrubs and a t-shirt. So that wasn't really too hard, and the scrub bottoms were pretty wrinkle resistant. And I would never wear a scrub top, so I was just like I just had, like, a bunch of t-shirts that I would, like, throw into my bag. Got to the gym by 6. Worked out from 6 to 7, took a quick shower, and the hospital that I worked at the time was only about, like, I'm talking like 3 miles from where the health club was, and I would stop at a coffee place that was in between me and the hospital, or I should say the gym and the hospital, get another coffee, and it was usually, like, at the perfect time before she had just got through a rush, and it's, like was just, like, the perfect timing because I never waited very long. Got to the hospital and was in the department by 7:30 when my shift started. And I'll tell you something else, just in case this is the first time you ever hear this. I started working out in the morning as a way to avoid traffic. Where I lived, compared to where the hospital was, there's traffic, and I just knew that in order for me to learn from this job, keep this job, because it was a great opportunity for me, I needed to avoid traffic one way. I couldn't do it in the morning and in the afternoon. So I opted for I would do this in the afternoon because traffic really starts in Boston and people going home from the Boston 128 area. If you happen to be in the Boston area, you know what I'm talking about, that 128 circle. Traffic starts in the afternoon around 3 o'clock because of the second shifters, people who do work from 7 to 3. My shift started at 7:30 and we went till about 4 o'clock. So I would be stuck in traffic on my way home. And as long as there wasn't an accident or a snowstorm, I did pretty well, and it would take me an hour to get home. So I started working out in the morning. And one of the things that I noticed from that was how it set up the rest of my day, how I felt good. I felt strong. So that had to be part of my morning routine. So I would consider that my workout, my coffee. But guess what? There was no journaling. There was no moments of gratitude. It was literally like I was on a treadmill and it was like, wake up, get going, let's go for the day. When did I journal? Inconsistently at night, if I'm totally honest. And I literally have years of journals here in my home. And now my journaling is still a little inconsistent, but there have been days where I should say months and moments in my past where I've been really good about journaling. But what I really want you to understand is that you got to start with something. For a little while, my morning routine included getting up between 5 and 5:30, a little bit of meditation, lemon water, coffee, journaling, and again, like getting to the gym by 7 a.m. So I'm getting to the gym later than I did before. So your morning routine does not have to be perfect. But what can you start with? What's a little commitment that you can make to yourself? So we're not talking about some big, long routine. What's going to help you start your day off on the right foot? Maybe that's an affirmation. Maybe it's reading a little bit in the Bible or reading some sort of a success book. You don't have to feel like you have to read 30 minutes, but maybe you read a page or two. And speaking of reading, when I was working out in the gym in the mornings before I would go to the hospital, I read more books on the Stairmaster. Now I'm very efficient. Efficiency is one of my things. And if I can multitask, I'm going to multitask. So I would be on the Stairmaster each morning, Monday through Friday, for at least 20 minutes, if not 30. And so I read so many books on the Stairmaster. So maybe for you, it's while you're commuting. Maybe you're listening to podcasts because I don't think podcasts were around back then when I was in my 20s. Listen to a podcast, listening to a book, like learning something so that you feel like you are being efficient with your time. I believe it's Tony Robbins that says it's net time, no extra time. So what can you do while you're commuting, while you are going grocery shopping? If you're on the Stairmaster like I was, or going for a walk, where can you incorporate what's going to set you up to have a great day? Whether that's in the morning, mid-morning, etc. I just want you to understand that these people who tell you like this is the key to success and this is the perfect morning that you have to have, no, because everybody's different. I was definitely a morning person. I wake up easily in the morning. As a matter of fact, I wake up with the light. So during the summer, that will mean I will be waking up at 4:30. And it's harder during the winter months when it's darker out in the mornings. But this is just my internal clock. For you, you might be a night owl. And it's easier for you to, and more with your energy, that you stay up later than I do. So maybe having a morning routine, let's not put that pressure on yourself, but let's figure out what's going to help you out. Like, what is a change that you want to make to set you up? I want to pause here for a second and talk directly to you who's listening and thinking, yeah, this is me. You know that you are capable of so much more. You've got the expertise, you've got the experience, you got the track record, but somewhere between who you are and how you're being perceived, something is getting lost. And that is exactly what I work with my clients with. I work with corporate leaders, directors, managers, and coaches who are done being the best kept secret in the room. We work together to close the gap between your talent and how visible and credible, and most importantly, memorable you are to the people making decisions about your career. If that landed for you, I want to invite you to book a call with me, a conversation about where you are, where you want to be, and whether working together would make sense. The link is down in the show notes. Like 10 minutes from now, your future self will be glad that you did. Now let's get back to the show. So let's just stop trying to be perfect, because there is no such thing as the perfect morning. And this really relates well to your leadership. That same paralysis about I got to get things perfect that keeps people from fixing their mornings, keeps them from speaking up when they are in the room, when they have the idea, when they need to make the impression and share their thoughts. Perfection is not a performance. I mean, who are you performing for? The leaders who get remembered aren't the ones who had it all together. They're the ones who moved anyways. They took the action. They raised their hand. They shared their thoughts. They decided to run the meeting and not worry about being perfect or what will people think. Because when you start to think about what will people think, you're going inward. You're worried about you and not about who you are speaking to. So here's what I want to give you to actually do instead. I want you to start with the smallest true thing that you can do right now. Maybe that's when I wake up in the morning, and this is just an idea, hydration. This is something that I started doing when I was drinking lemon water first thing in the morning, and it just felt so good. And then there's also these back stretches that I do. I mean, like that was something that, again, like I've been adding different things in, and you get to decide, what do you want to do? So maybe it's hydration, maybe it's stretching, because when you think about it, your body's been in bed, maybe curled up like in a ball, or you're on one side. Being able to just like stretch your body, get it moving. Coffee might be in your morning routine as well, or maybe a good cup of tea. But here's the thing. Imperfect action that you take consistently beats the perfect action every single time. Because remember, there's no such thing as perfect. And Who are you trying to be perfect for? Just get started doing something. Decide, like, does this feel good? Does this not feel good? Do I like doing this? I mean, give different things a chance. And when I say give things a chance, I mean, don't just try it once. I mean, maybe you try it for a couple of weeks and then you evaluate, like, did I like that? Is that helping me? Am I ready to add something new to the routine? Because it's second nature for me to wake up and drink water and then stretch. So maybe that's the time that you add on that next layer. Just be kind to yourself because the next time you wake up and you're not feeling like you slept as well, or that the week is turning into messy, stressful situations, you showing up and acknowledging, you know what? I still woke up. I don't quite feel my best, but I'm stretching anyways. I'm having the water. I'm feeling better. That's when you know that you are headed in the right direction. So here's where I want to leave you. Back to that cup of coffee when you know it's a rough morning because it just doesn't feel the same. You're not failing to have a miracle morning. You're showing up and showing up imperfectly, consistently, anyways. That's not just a consolation prize. That is the whole game. So already know, boom, you are winning. And the leaders who get remembered aren't the ones who had the perfect routine. They're the ones who moved when it was hard, spoke up when it was uncomfortable, and kept going when conditions were anything but ideal. So before we close out this episode, I want to leave you with this question. Where are you waiting for the perfect conditions before you make your move? Sit with that. Write it down if you need to. And then do the messy, imperfect human thing anyways. And I'll repeat that question one more time. Where are you waiting for perfect conditions before you make your move? And one more thing before we go. Are you on my newsletter list? Do you want to be receiving my emails? Because my weekly newsletters don't have anything to do with the podcast. Yeah, that's right. I'll say that again. My weekly newsletters don't have anything to do with the podcast. They teach you about something else that I am seeing in my clients. So if you would like to get on my newsletter list, the link is down below. And until next week, I want you to be in demand.